Welcome back to the Spin the Rock podcast. It's playoff season, so if you don't want to miss out on everything big during this postseason, follow us on all social media and then make sure to listen to us on all popular podcast platforms and YouTube.
Hello and welcome to the Spin the Rock podcast. I'm your host, Angel, and with me today is
Vaughn and just Vaughn.
just Vaughn, the first ever two-person Spin the Rock podcast. I mean, what's today? Today's the last day of games, if I'm not mistaken. It's also Easter. Big Easter guy, Vaughn? Are you a big Easter guy?
Bro, I love the Easter Bunny, man. I don't know why. I love when he just leaves eggs. That's crazy. Colorful eggs. I love that.
I low-key grew up hating Easter because my family was church, like they're Christians, so it would be like maybe 5 hours of the day was spent at church, and then the last few hours of the day was like a Easter egg hunt. But like once you turn like 13, 14, it like just became nothing but church.
Right. Honestly, earliest memory, like when I gained sentience as a child, was me stealing. I was like 4 or something, stealing eggs out of another kid's basket who was like 2. I was the Marcus Smart of Easter. Okay, I was getting steals left and right.
You're a menace. And speaking of menaces, we have some news. And the first thing we want to talk about 30 minutes before we even got together, Rudy Gobert throwing hands during a must-win game for the Timberwolves. Vaughn, when you saw that clip, what were you thinking?
It would be Rudy Gobert who did that. It would be him. That man, the best defense he played was when he had COVID and like touched all the mics and then sent the league into lockdown. Like that's the best defense of his career. And now he's playing it against his own teammates. Like I don't know what the thought process was. He was trying to throw the game. It was against the Pelicans, so that could determine seeding. But like, what a thing to do! Punch Kyle Anderson, you a 7-footer, and then possibly run away from that. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. The camera angle made it tough to see, but it looked like he was running away from that fight.
No, I was when I was watching it, I like rewatched it like 3 times before I was like, hold on, did he run away? I like I'm pretty sure if you put like the Hanna-Barbera cartoon noise effects, like, it would fit perfectly over that video. And then they took him out of the game. They sent him to the locker room after that, and they won. I'm just saying, is Gobert the common denominator? The Jazz, now the T-Wolves? I'm just like,
I don't know what's up with that man. It might be that French genetics in him, like waving the white flag after punching your teammate. That's got to be the only explanation for this.
all right. And now moving on, we also have a pretty big update for the in-season tourney, something that we talked about on last week's episode. Like multiple times, we said like we have no idea how it's gonna work, so we can't be excited. The how it works has came out. So teams will be assigned to 6 interconference pools of 5, not by division at all. On designated days during the first 6 weeks of the regular season, teams will play 4 group games, 1 each against the other teams in their pool. Everyone plays 2 at home and 2 on the road. The winners of each pool and 2 wildcard teams will advance to a single elimination tournament. And then the semifinals and the finals of the tournament will be held at a neutral site. Players of the tournament will each receive $500,000 if they win.
So each player
Each?
receives 500K.
Yeah, players of the tournament champion will each receive 500,000.
Okay. Did they say how they make the team pools because they're not by division?
No, they did not.
Okay. So I like the idea of this. It's earlier in the season than I always thought of when I think in-season tournament. I would think
Yeah,
like middle of the year, but I guess all stars kind of like middle of the year type deal. So I think it makes the beginning of the season more competitive because like the first week of games, that's when like everything is like exciting, like finally NBA is back. But if it's like stakes involved, yeah, I'd like to see players more motivated in those early weeks. Sounds cool.
Yeah, I was I was reading this, and the only thing I kept thinking of was like, how can they make the players like? I feel like the bench guys. Oh yeah, we're gonna see someone like Cameron Thomas, Spencer Dinwiddie become like legends of the in-season tournament. But I feel like people who make like 90 million like on their
Right.
contracts does not like the $500,000 is not enough for them to care. I feel like
You might have things where you have like you remember TJ Warren in the bubble was like the bubble goat. I think we'll
yeah.
have more of that. Like more players who like are good, but they're not like all-star, superstar level, and then
Hmm.
they just blow up onto the scene. So I think that would be good for, more highlights of players you usually don't see, and maybe even further development in a early competitive tournament like this. At least that's what I hope.
Yeah. I I just the only thing I don't like about this is the pool play. Like that's kind of odd. Like I feel like if they just did like one big like single elimination tournament, it would be a lot more like exciting. I mean,
Mhm.
I could be wrong. The pool play might be like a good thing after all, but right now when I look at that, I'm like kind of iffy on it.
Yeah, like you don't if we don't know how they determine the pools, like it could be disastrous. Like if you got a division, I think the Atlantic division is like Knicks, Nets, Celtics, Raptors, and Wizards or something.
Hmm.
So, that would be interesting. But, early season teams that will be good aren't always great in the regular season in the very beginning. So like the Celtics could get wiped out and like the Nets win that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so like then you just got teams that probably wouldn't be that successful later in the season, and they're kind of just taking the shine away from like teams you want to see. Like
Hmm.
imagine the Hornets just get lucky in their pool, they beat everyone and get into the tournament, and all it takes is one great team to erase and eliminate all those Hornet-like teams.
Yeah. I if they were to do pool play, I think doing division would have actually be better because one of the big like I don't want to say criticisms, but the big thing that people bring up a lot is that how rivalries are basically dead in the NBA. So if you did pool play by division, like that could be like you can get some really good rivalries out of that. But if you're just doing
Yeah.
it randomly every year, I feel like it's just another like kind of missed opportunity to grow rivalries.
You said they weren't doing it by division, but are they still separating conferences?
I all it says when I look at the little thing that I saw on Twitter, the six in oh no inter conference pools. So no,
Oh, interconference pools. That could be interesting.
no,
It's
it
another
could
one of
like
the things you got to like see, right? Like
yeah
it's kind of hard to determine and do guesswork as it is.
yeah for sure. I'm excited. I mean, I said when I saw this, I said it could be like really fire if the players actually took it seriously. I feel like there could be some really great moments to come out of this, but I'm also afraid what if it's like another all star thing, like
All
you
right.
know they only or like how what teams are doing now and just sitting their guys because they're for sure out of the postseason. Like I don't want like Dame to be sitting in season tourney. His only chance at a ring if he stays on the Blazers.
No, yeah, he'll be like goaded in season tournament, but never win a championship.
No.
I hope not. I really hope not. Not for Dame. I do like that it's in the beginning of the season, only because you got the momentum of the season openers, and like everyone's like getting back into it after the summer. You're always
Mhm.
excited for it, and like it's already competitive out the gate, rather than all-star game. It's in the middle of the year. You kind of want the break. There's no way like an in-season tournament would work around that time because like no one wants to like go into playoff mode, like even like a mini playoff mode,
Hmm.
it'd probably be too much. So I think the way they have it planned sounds good on paper.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. Warriors, NBA history, not even an hour ago, 55 in the first quarter against the Trailblazers. I don't think the game's over yet, but that makes me so excited for the final score.
Yeah. I think also in doing that, it's a largest scoring 3-point trio between Poole, Thompson, and Curry. So despite their struggles all season long, they are still making history somehow. Uh, I appreciate it, but I'm also annoyed by it. They they won't go away. They never
No,
go away.
no, for real. It's also hilarious because poor Portland fans. Way to kick them while they're down. It's like imagine paying tickets for that game if you're a Portland Trailblazers fan.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. No shining light at the end of this tunnel for the Blazers.
No, for real. Do you want to talk about the Klay Thompson quote?
Wait, you gotta tell me what that quote is.
Oh, during I think it was post game interview, he said that he thinks no one could beat them in 7.
That has the exact vibes of those 2016 finals of talking about LeBron. Maybe he got his feelings hurt. It's too cocky, too much confidence there. I'm glad to see that their spirit isn't broken, but they got some big heads.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that he said that because they have the worst record on the road in all of the NBA, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So,
Even if like the only way that quote is hard, it goes crazy, is if he's the 1 seed, because then they got home court advantage all playoffs
yeah.
long. And so like they would be someone you'd have to take down. But right now, the West is wide open. People have been saying the West is wide open all year long. And
Mhm.
that's because it really is. Like there's so many teams that have different dynamics, great scorers. It's just it's a big question mark. So
Yeah.
I could see if he said nobody would want to face us because we're the defending champions, but to say like confidently, no one's gonna beat us 7 game series is just like asking for trouble now.
No, I mean, you can already tell people are like, and if they lose, you could just throw up to 4. So like, it's Clay Thompson is like slowly but surely making him a meme out of himself.
He all right. Steph, you don't see him throwing up the 4 like that as often as Clay does. Clay just makes himself a target for bullying. He does this to himself.
No, I mean, if like looking back, like you just brought up the LeBron quote, like he just like is bad juju. If I'm Steph and Draymond, I'm telling Clay to not speak during a post game interview. I'm just like, bro, you are not going out there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is honestly this is like what Draymond would be saying, but like not even he been saying it. So
Yeah.
there's something wrong with it.
And all right, and our last piece of news. I mean, if this was any other team, we probably wouldn't talk about it, but we come on. Mavs are officially eliminated from postseason appearance, smoking on that Dallas pack. How do you feel, Vaughn?
Oh, biggest L I've seen in a long while. Like I don't know what's worse is being a Wizards fan and just constantly watching your team miss the playoffs with Bradley Beal scoring 30, 40, or watching Luca drop 60-point triple doubles and still miss playoffs because of a trade that just wrecked your team. Like
Oh man.
I haven't seen a playoff caliber team make a trade that hurt them this bad. Even the Nets, who traded Kyrie and KD, some of the best players in the league, are still in playoffs. So that's Maverick fans going through one big collective groan right now.
No, I mean, and there's reports that Kyrie, like, of course, a lot of us kind of figured, but he might not sign with Dallas after all. And so it's like, way to screw yourself for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, like I know Kyrie wants the bag, like a long-term deal, and
Mhm.
I think the Mavericks are the best position to offer that. But that they were also in the best position to offer Jalen Brunson a contract, and Jalen Brunson's on the Knicks. So
Yeah.
it could be history repeating itself, which would be a big shame because there's that report that Luka could request a trade in the 2024 free agency. I don't know how truthful that is, but you do have to be sweating if you're Mark Cuban.
Oh, you have for multiple reasons too. Like, not only are fans probably gonna want you out of there, like run you out of Dallas, but if you lose Jalen Brunson, Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic in the span of 3 years, like, that's gonna be the ultimate back fumble.
Yeah, like even Christian Wood, I think he might have a player option, and he could opt in or opt out of that
Yeah.
this offseason. So there's roster troubles brewing. Um, good luck. Good luck to Mark Cuban, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I think this sounds like the ultimate hater thing to say, but I'm just happy that this happened because I remember like early March, ESPN Sports Center posting the Mavs Suns game being like rematch, 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 and they didn't even make play in.
ESPN Ultimate Jinx. Where's that Lakers Nets finals? Like, come on.
No facts. Battle of
Um,
LA.
yeah. Also, speaking of Nets, Cameron Thomas scored 46, and I think he broke a record for like Nets player scoring 46 in one season. Like he tied it or something.
Mm.
Which 4 40-point games. They played him today, right? They don't play him like the previous games, but today they play him. He gets 40 points. Like, come on.
I don't
Why would
understand
you
what the
ever
Nets are
bench him?
doing with him. No
Exactly.
facts. If you look through his game history, it'll be like 20 points, 18 points, 0 minutes, 2 minutes and 2 points. It's like, what are the Nets doing with Cameron Thomas?
Maybe that's a spot uh team that Mavericks could look towards because
Yeah,
they're in
true.
their rebuild. Any combination of Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, uh, Cam Thomas, like any of those would be desirable for that team. If they could pull off Mikal Bridges, it would do wonders for their
Oh yeah,
non-existent defense. So
non-existent
they,
bench.
I need something from them off season. We can't just have another. We don't add anything on. We're just kind of like floating as we are
Yeah.
now.
All right. I think actually one more piece of news because I just remembered this while we're talking about Mark Cuban possibly getting ran out of Dallas. The Houston Rockets fired their coach.
Oh, I didn't even see this news, bro.
I saw it
Coach
on Twitter
Silas,
on my way home.
Steven Silas. I feel so bad for that man. I mean, we've said it in the past. Like that was not the team he was walking into. He's got to coach these young guys who playing like AAU players. Like they're hunting for highlights, not really W's. So I this might be mutual if Steven Silas goes elsewhere, even as an assistant coach or some staff where he's more wanted, because like from what the reports say, it seemed like he lost the locker room of those young guys and they were kind of just
Mhm.
doing their own thing. So hopefully you get a better coach who kind of reined them in better and give them direction. But
Yeah.
I'm just glad he's got to shed no more tears over this team.
I mean, the Rockets just did that man so poorly to bring him in and like this is gonna like tarnish his reputation as a coach. But like if you look at the team, there was nothing that man could do. He was handed he was handed such a poorly built team. So it does kind of suck to see that, but hopefully a team will give him a chance and he can show us like what he can do with a real NBA team. All right, moving on. We're gonna do some postseason preview and a little bit of a look back. So we're gonna kick things off with one last board look. The board is gonna be wiped after today. Um, no more predictions are gonna be brought up because it's the postseason now. I'm gonna kick us off with one that we had in common. Kings playing. I mean, how surprised are we?
I'm so proud of that. Like, we were getting called crazy for saying they'd make play-in, but they're here, third seed in the West.
Yeah.
That's just
I'm
impressive. Like, that offense is actually really fun to watch.
mhm.
They don't have so much on the defensive side, but they have so many offensive weapons. It's honestly impressive what they've turned into.
No, for real. And like they also held that third seed for like most of the season.
Yeah.
Like you look at the Pelicans, the Suns, even the Trailblazers, they all fell from grace. All were like
Mhm.
one seed at one point. And then the Kings were what the Cavs were, but like they stayed in the third seed. They were the third seed majority of the season. So
Yeah,
it's
I remember specific clips of Kendrick Perkins and JJ Redick both shitting on the Kings. I'm like,
mhm.
they don't know what me and Angel know.
Yeah, little they know that we're King's informants. We're inside the office every day in Sacramento telling them what
Yeah.
they need to do. We were the ones who told them to give Malik Monk more minutes.
Oh, it's really good to see a team that's been poverty finally touch playoffs. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
Suns were that like a couple years ago, the Grizzlies even. Like their Grizzlies are supposed to be in rebuild. And you could even make a case for the Thunder if they win play-ins.
Mm.
So it's really nice to see these sort of teams. Will that happen for the Magic or the Hornets or the Pistons anytime soon? Probably not, but we got to take these little wins for these teams when we can get them.
Yes, we're in the future of the NBA. I mean, the Blazers, a team that was making the playoffs since I was watching basketball, has missed 2 years in a row now. We're in the future of the NBA. So
Yeah,
it's very exciting.
it it's just like a more competitive league, which is refreshing because like even a bottom tier team has something worth watching. Like the Wizards has Bradley Beal, Kuzma, Porzingis, so they have a core. It's just like they're not good enough because of how
Yeah.
competitive the league is.
All right. Speaking of the Blazers, that was my prediction. I said Blazers for sure missed the playoffs, and I was ridiculed. I was told, "Don't count out Damian Lillard. Don't. You're crazy for that." And what they do, missed the playoffs, and they sat Dame while doing it.
Ugh, it hurts. I couldn't believe it. I would never believe it. Like Dame, 2 years in a row, back to back, missed playoffs, not even play in. Like
Yeah.
I didn't accept it. Obviously, it's not Dame who let everyone down. It's
Oh
the
no.
Blazers team who let him down. I thought this was a good turnaround with Chauncey Billups as
Mhm.
coach because who they have Terry Stotts, but like the big thing is I don't know how even I would revamp this team to make them playoff caliber.
Mhm.
I would have thought the addition of Jeremy Grant and some young guys around Dame would be of great help. But honestly, they are a really young team right now. Because it's Dame who's like 33 and then Nurkic who's 32. And the rest are like early 20-year-olds, mid
Yeah.
20-year-olds. So I think that would be good if they wanted to look towards the future, but I don't think Dame needs this youth around him as it stands. But at the same time, I don't know what he actually needs. So that's like the troubling part.
Yeah, the Blazers are a weird team. I mean, and this is how you know like recency bias, because people are already saying that Dame should ask for a trade as if he didn't just sign a new contract. So it's like I feel like even the Blazers don't know what to do, because like
Mhm.
what are you gonna do? Throw away the hundreds of millions of dollars you threw out like Dame and Simmons? Like, no, you're kind of locked into those guys for the next 2 years.
Like if you were to make a Damian Lillard trade, it would probably have to be for a player, like a star player who requests a trade from their team. So it
Yeah,
would probably have to be like Dame for Luca, because that's the only way you could match the contracts.
yeah,
Because I, if you're getting a high contract player, you have to give one up.
yeah,
So when players say like the Lakers got to make a trade for Damian Lillard, well, you're probably going to lose Anthony Davis in that trade,
yeah,
and you get something in return, but you're going to lose something like Anthony Davis's defense, like he's the anchor of that team. Or if you're like the Wizards, I don't even know how that would be beneficial for them.
yeah.
You got mid with Bradley Beal or mid with Damian Lillard. It's like a team like that's probably not going to make that trade.
Yeah, it's just odd in Portland. Like if you're gonna re-sign Dame and miss 2 years in a row, I feel like you kind of have to be in panic mode.
Hmm.
Because like, what are you gonna like? Just get another high draft pick and
Hmm.
and hope he becomes like an instant supporter? Like, it's just it's just a really poor look for Portland right now.
They could get lucky with their draft pick. Actually, do they own their draft pick this season? I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I have
They're
no clue.
13th in the West. If they do have their draft pick, they could make a lucky roll for the first overall pick,
True.
similar to what happened to the Pelicans, because I think the Lakers were the favorite. No, it might have been the Suns who were the favorite for that number one pick, and then Pelicans got it and then drafted Zion Williamson. So they could potentially get a number one pick just by pure luck and get a Wembenyama, which would be good because Nurkic as their center.
Yeah.
I think you got to start there for the roster changes. But yeah, they are really young team outside of their big two there, and I think Justice Winslow is like 26 or something. So they are pretty young. So that the only way I could see this being an advantage is if this summer those young guys take leaps
Yeah.
and kind of find more resolute roles on the team. Like I would like to see Shaden Sharp, their third scorer, because he's athletic and if he can shoot the ball 3 point range, mid range, that would be a big help. If Cameron Reddish ever turns into the 3 and D player that I think he is in my head, also an advantage. Same with Kevin Knox. So there's a lot of things that could go right, but you know, obviously looking at him this season at a 13th seed, it just looks like a whole lot of bad has happened.
Yeah. It is it if I'm a Blazers fan, I'm more just worried about what the team's gonna do rather than the players on the team, because there is a lot of upside for them. Your last prediction: Lakers miss playoffs. How stunned are you by the Lakers?
They, I think, have had the best record since All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken. If not the best, and one close to it. They're seventh, as I'm looking at them right now. They could jump
Mm-hmm.
to playoff lock if they win and other teams lose, but I don't know if that will happen. But it is shocking to see how well they've put this team together. And I will say there is still hope for that for Eugene's Celtics versus Lakers finals. It's not dead in the water. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I was also really shocked by this, because at the time LeBron was like problems, AD was being AD. They they just didn't have a really good bench, and then next thing we know, they're shooting up the standings week by week, and it's like I they just made the right moves after all. I know everyone on the podcast kind of agreed that the moves weren't spectacular to make us think that they were going to be where they're at now, but I guess we were all proven wrong because they kind of came through with those trades.
Yeah, like their roster at the beginning of the year was like starting in the negative. It's like none of these players really play to LeBron and AD strengths, and then they finally get a roster like at neutral, and they're doing something with it. So
Yeah.
it's where they should have been at the beginning of the year. If they had this roster at the beginning of the year, I wonder where they'd be right now with a full season of chemistry under their belt. I still worry for them in playoffs and play-in. Like 2 games in play-in based on where they're at right now, and they're out. They don't breathe a whiff of
Yeah.
playoffs. So even in playoffs, it's like we've been saying, West wide open. So this isn't the year where anyone should think I'm going to the finals.
Yeah.
I think there was a report a few weeks ago where an NBA Lakers executive said they're confident they can beat the Nuggets, which is kind of a ludicrous thing to say, based that the Nuggets are a team who've been together basically all year long, versus Lakers, who they have their injuries of
Mhm.
key players here and there. This roster has only existed since the trade deadline. So I think anyone who's been looking at both these teams would be like the Nuggets should be the favorite. But anything can happen.
Yeah. I would be more concerned about the the first round. I feel like their first round might be the hardest for them. I think the plans will be hard for them. But like if let's say they lose the first game, then win the second game, it's Grizzlies. Or if they win their first game, it's Nuggets. Those are
Mhm.
both teams that can definitely go toe to toe with the Lakers and have in the past. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be I would be more confident like second round than I would be first round just because you're getting a powerhouse right off the bat.
Yeah, that's right. Um, Honestly, second round wouldn't be easy too, because you would have any combination of the Suns, Clippers, or Warriors. Warriors
Yeah.
defending champs. Clippers, I think they've only beat the Clippers like twice in the last 2 or 3 years in the regular
Mhm.
season. And then the Suns have KD.
True.
So the only way they'd get lucky is if Kings make it to second round and they could just feast on their no defense.
Yeah. It's a troubling time for the Lakers fans because you have a solid team, but it's just is that team solid enough to make it far? All right, and then the last prediction we have for today is Thunder play-in, probably the least controversial prediction on the board by me. I mean, everyone else's predictions are kind of controversial, but I feel like Thunder play-in was the least because we're just all fans of the Thunder. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I said that to anyone else this year, they would look at me like I'm crazy. But we all kind of believed in the Thunder, so I feel like that was the least controversial one.
I think Eugene first brought up the possibility in the preseason, and I kind of looked at him weird because you don't know what they're capable of. And then as the season progressed, I'm like, oh, Shay's that guy.
Yeah,
Josh Giddey, he's got a 3-point shot finally. And then all these other guys started like cropping up, putting up big stats and showing how valuable they were to the team, like Jalen Williams, Pokushevsky, Lou Dort. And so it's like they're such an interesting team to keep your eye on. And then once we start getting the later stages, it's like I want to say Trailblazers. I'd love them, but the Thunder just look more complete and hungry for this play-in spot. And
yeah,
your prediction did come true.
yeah. I kind of just like want the Thunder to succeed. Like it just will be so exciting to see that team in the playoffs. I'd rather see them than the T Wolves or the
Yeah.
Lakers. To be honest, I definitely don't want to see the Timberwolves in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
No. Like if Rudy Gobert is gonna be punching his own teammates, those are like his highlights, then I don't really need him in the playoffs.
Yeah, facts. So it's kind of I'm kind of excited for the Thunder this postseason. So
Yeah,
oh
like that'll really show like what they're made of. Like this is their average age is 22 years
yeah,
old.
it's
I'm sure.
insane.
So it's crazy that they're even in this discussion to begin with. But if they do make playoffs against the Nuggets, I mean it'd be tough, but you can kind of like show what the coach has been cooking up, for playoffs if they get in. And then Grizzlies, I think, would be the most interesting matchup between those two because both are young teams. And just to see young bull versus young bull clash head to head, that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, also like the pictures of Chet have started popping up. Man's put on muscle. Man, I remember the big thing was like, oh, he's gonna get bullied, like as if weights didn't exist. I kind of hated that argument. But like the pictures popped up and like he's looking pretty in shape. So like I can't wait to see how they'll look with Chet. Hopefully it's a good fit. You know, we're all hoping that like Chet is the final piece for them to lock a playoff spot. So exciting stuff for the Thunder. All right, and then our last regular season flashback is, we did a wheel spin this season. We do next season we'll do a new one, but I just want to know: are you now a fan of your wheel spin team, Vaughn? Are you now a
Oh,
Houston Rockets fan?
hell no. Like, how could I? How could I enjoy watching this team on any level?
That's
Like, I
fair.
thought I'd get like Jabari Smith, Jalen Green highlight dunks. And what I usually just end up seeing is the coach yelling at them or them yelling at each other. Eric Gordon was there way too long early in the season. He was just zoned out.
Yeah,
I thought I'd be seeing some Boban here and there. I think I may have seen him a total of 2 minutes the time I've watched the Rockets. I think the only shining light is Alperen Sengun. Uh, I
yes,
like him. He's the one guy I like consistently. Like he makes lots of mistakes, especially on the defensive end. But as an offensive player, he's built pretty solid.
no, and what's exciting about that is that when we're going into the season, you probably didn't even know his name. You thought
No.
Jalen Green, you thought that would be the highlight of your time. But here comes this guy out of nowhere, and he's the best part of watching the Houston Rockets. I remember
Yeah.
I remember the first 2 weeks into our podcast in the regular season, and it was the fight between them and Eric Gordon just staring off into the season. And it was like that perfectly sums up what was ahead of you.
Yep. There's honestly it's kind of rough, but I'm actually looking forward to next year's wheel spin if we do it. I,
Yes.
I just want to know how you enjoyed your time with the Hornets, though.
Oh, awful. I think I just had just as a bad time as you did, except I only had one star player to look forward to seeing, and he was injured most of the season. So it's like even though our experiences were very similar, at least you had like Sengu. I had Mason Plumley. That's all I
Yeah, and honestly, like you're thinking PJ Washington would take that jump, or someone James Booknight would explode on the scene, and
Yeah.
not really any of that happened. And you had vets like Rozier, Hayward. Maybe something could have happened, but
Yeah.
it's you lose your star player for most of the year. It's
It's
like you
just
can't really do nothing.
and with Rozier and Hayward, it was just more sad to watch them play because they were still doing very, very well. And it's just like you poor man. You're scoring at least 25 a night, maybe even more some nights, just to sit at the 14th seed.
But they
And
had
then,
to know what they're getting into. Like you
oh
sign a
yeah,
$120 million contract, this is a money move. It's not like you're gonna making deep playoff
yeah.
runs.
I mean, that's very true. Also, I think it was I remember we were talking one day. and we were like, I wonder who's gonna take over Mason Plumlee's spot. And we found out that they had a rookie center this whole time. Like they could have been playing and developing, but instead they were choosing to start Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, I think just like earlier today or yesterday, Mark Williams put up like 20 and 11. Like
Yeah.
you could have had this all year long, instead you decided Mason Plumlee's the guy.
Yeah. No, it's such a ridiculous team. The way the team was ran was so poor. Because I remember they returned Lamelo from injury and he re-injures himself like the next day. So it's just like it was just pain watching them. All right. If we were to do the real spin, who would you want?
Hmm. Who would I want? I think I know you would want the Pelicans.
Oh yeah,
You're
for
right or
sure.
die with them. I would like probably the Cavaliers, just because I'm a big Donovan Mitchell fan, and I think this first season it's a success. They're top four in the East compared to last year. They missed playoffs,
Mhm.
so I think this is just a good building point. I hope that Knicks Cavs series is good. I'm definitely gonna be rooting for the Cavs. I want Donovan Mitchell to show the mistake they made by paying him and not, or paying RJ Barrett and not him,
No
trading
facts.
for him. So I would definitely be a Cavs fan,
You
or at
you
least
know
hoping for.
you know what sucks, Vaughn, is that because we do this by our favorite teams, the opposite conference, you have a high chance of getting the
Oh,
Rockets again,
that's
but
true.
you have an equal chance of getting Portland, so or San
I
Antonio.
do. Yeah, I wouldn't want either of those teams. I wouldn't even want the Mavericks if we're being honest. There's a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
teams in the West I wouldn't want. I
yeah,
don't think I'd even want the Kings because I don't know what they're going to be next season.
true.
I low key this might be a Knicks situation when Julius Randle first got there. They make playoffs and then next year after they miss, and then after that, they had to sign Jalen Brunson to like $120 million contract. So who are the Kings going to sign in year 3 for $100+ million?
Who knows? Yeah, same with me. I also have a high chance of getting the Hornets again, and then of course Orlando and Detroit. Me personally, I would probably want honestly everyone on the west side of the things. A lot of them I wouldn't want.
Yeah, like even the Suns, you don't know, like if even CP3 is going to be there next year, if they try to sign
Mhm.
Kyrie, or like what issues crop up with a team like that. I wouldn't even want the Clippers because I'm tired of seeing load management, and they have so many good pieces, they just don't click all the way, which is why they're a 5 seed and not like 1, 2, or 3. I I'm a Warriors hater. Can't even love them. I couldn't even fake it. Timberwolves, I couldn't even fake that either. I think you and me would be fighting for Pelicans for favorite teams.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, crazy to think all four of us got a well, except for Tyler. Tyler didn't get him, but all four of us
Well,
got a
that was a
bottom.
surprise. That was
Yeah,
a surprise. There's no way he thought that.
all four of us, three of us got a bottom three team, and then Tyler got the Kings, who last season finished 13th, so they weren't on there twice. But we walked away thinking it was Vaughn was the only one who had a good team, and then turns out the Indiana Pacers and the Kings were the best team spun this year. I like if you would have told me that the day we did it, I would not believe you.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Kings Pacers things we didn't predict. Like I think in our preseason we were saying Keegan Murray would be Rookie of the Year, and he's not really in the discussion, but Benedict kind of is.
Yeah,
So,
you know, it was an exciting NBA season overall. I mean, the fact that we couldn't predict it. It was such a close competition the entire year. Like the only downside I can think for the season was the fact that after the All-Star break, it was just so boring.
Yeah, which is crazy because like those were the dog days, but those were some of the most important games seeding
Yeah.
wise. Like those are the teams that were like fighting to get better positioning, and it was just kind of like it didn't feel like anything was going on.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the meat of our episode today, play in preview. You know what, Vaughn? I'll let you call the shots. Which conference do you want to start with?
Let me go with East. East is easier.
All right. The games are done as we're speaking, so all the seasons are locked in. So that means 7 to 10 is Heat, Hawks, Raptors, Bulls. Hawks and Atlanta will face each other, and Bulls and Raptors will face each other.
Oh, Heat and Atlanta will face.
Yes. So I think it's
Okay.
7 to 8 for the
Yeah,
seventh
yeah.
seed, and 9 and 10 versus the winner of 9 and 10 faces the loser of 7 and 8 for the 8 seed.
All right. Okay. Um. So just for that 9 and 10 spot, I don't believe in the Bulls, whereas the Raptors look like a team again.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta go Raptors against that in that matchup.
All
And
right.
then just because I like the Raptors, um, I wish they were higher in the seeding, but I understand like ever since Kawhi was gone, they kind of lost their identity. But I would like to see Raptors. I know Tyler would be heartbroken to know I'm going against the Bulls like this. But yeah, I got more confidence in the Raptors.
Such a such a sad fan base. I feel so bad. You cannot hate a Bulls fan. I never met a Bull fan and been like, I hate that guy, because when they talk about their team, they just have hope.
Mhm.
Like when you look at them and it's like when they talk about their team, you could tell they're holding back tears. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I
you
also
know,
have the Raptors just because the Bulls have just been, you don't know what you're gonna get out of Caruso, DeRozan, and Levine. Like we
mhm,
talked about it in our All Stars episode. Levine was like just quiet, just didn't do anything, and then suddenly in March and February he just popped off. So you like, will he carry that momentum? Is a big gamble because that's what the Bulls will need to beat the Raptors. Is for all three of them to carry their momentum, and I just feel like that might not happen when you only have one game to do it.
like the Bulls, they have Andre Drummond, and I think he's a curse. Whatever team lands him, just like is not good that season. Like the Lakers missed play-in with him. Uh, with the Nets, they fell apart, and then of
True.
course Pistons were never good with him. So
When he was on the Sixers and didn't get minutes, they actually did pretty well.
yeah, like if you're playing backup to Joel Embiid and it makes you look like you're
Good.
lost out there, yeah, it's like come on, like some you got to watch film or something.
So we got Raptors moving on. Hawks and Miami. I feel like that's an exciting game.
Honestly, yeah, because the Heat should be better, the Hawks should be better, and just neither team can like turn it on.
Hmm.
Like even this late in the season, they're still dropping game, winning the game, dropping a game, winning the game for both cases. Like the Hawks are sitting 41 and 41. That's like the definition of mid right there. And which team of these just has to win this game? They win this game, move playoffs. I would say the Heat, only because they have Jimmy Butler and Bam. I think the Heat have faced the Hawks before in the playoffs, and they can either put the strategy they put in the past or modify it to account for DeJounte Murray. But I
Hmm.
think it's another situation where they lock up Trey Young.
Yeah, I just feel like the Heat are coming together as a team too. Like the Hawks right now are just like you said, it's like they lose and win and lose and win. Like they're just a definition of like they're barely 500.
Mhm.
And so it's like the Heat were starting to come together. Udonis just had his last regular season game. They gave him that rocking chair. I think I think that's gonna get them over the hump. I think that camaraderie, that brotherhood, Heat culture, as they like to say in Miami, is gonna get them through.
Yeah, and plus, like the Hawks have a new coach. I don't know if they're completely comfortable or have a full
Yeah.
system yet. So you just gotta go Heat right here.
Would you say it's an upset if the Hawks win, or do you think that's like more of like it's even, it's 50-50?
I would say the Heat are the favorites for this one,
Okay.
but like I would be surprised if the Hawks beat the Heat in this situation.
Yeah, I think I would too. I just feel like Jimmy's such a like dig in the dirt, fight hard, like he's gonna try his hardest to move on. And I feel like if the Hawks win, it'll just be like a big blow to that Heat team. All right. And then that means we have Hawks and Raptors going against each other. I feel like that's gotta be Hawks.
Honestly, I'm going Raptors.
Oh,
Uh, I'm just not confident about the Hawks. I know win one, lose one, but I think that's going to be a change in the play-in.
mhm,
It's just lose lose for these two
yeah.
games. And Raptors, I know Fred VanVleet's had his shooting struggles this season, but Gary Trent Jr., Siakam, they made a trade for Poeltl, so I think they have enough here to put that Hawks team away.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I trust in the Hawks just because I feel like the Raptors and the Hawks are equally mid. So I feel like the Hawks can pull it out. But I kind of like your take because the Raptors, they do have some solid guys on that team, whereas the Hawks, like you said, the new coach and they haven't found their groove all season. Last
Yeah,
question.
just one thing, I do feel bad because Trey Young, I think, leads assists, total assists this season, and this is the second year he's done it in a row, and like proven to be like one of the best playmakers in the league, and his team is just struggling to make playoffs. So I do feel bad about saying that.
Yeah, it is gonna be odd to see the Hawks lose in the play-in. So, all right, moving on to West. 7 and 8 will be Lakers and Pelicans. 9 and 10 will be Wolves and OKC. I think the East play-ins are a little bit more exciting than the West play-ins, only because the Timberwolves.
Oh, I think it's the opposite. The West is more interesting because you look at Timberwolves and see Gobert. I look at the West and see Anthony Edwards.
Oh,
I love
true,
Anthony Edwards.
true, true.
Um, but I don't even know where to start with this because there's teams I want to win and there's teams that look more confident that they could win. Like the Lakers look like they know they can win the play-in,
Hmm.
whereas a team like the Pelicans look like they want to fight to get past play-in. And
Let's
then same with, oh, yeah,
let's
where
start
we
with
started first?
let's start with Lakers Pelicans because I feel like that's going to be the most competitive of the two. The Pelicans won't have Zion, but I feel like the Pelicans are always not having Zion, and they've beaten some pretty good teams and they made it far in the playoffs before. So I feel like that out of Lakers and Pelicans, that's probably the most 50-50 play-in matchup we've seen.
Yeah, like they're both like today or on Sunday. We record this Sunday, so I'm looking at their records. They're both 42 and 39. They're both 8-2 in their last 10 games. Um, it's tough. Like I think I gotta go with. Oh, I don't know, man.
I
I
I
want to
think
say
personally,
Anthony Davis.
even though I'm a big Pelicans fan, born and raised in New Orleans, I have to go with Lakers just because the Lakers just seem like they're on a huge roll right now. Their momentum has just been carrying since the All-Star break. That no Zion, like that worked against the Suns kind of, but with AD finally looking like the Pelicans AD, I just feel like there's no way the Pelicans can stop that interior offense that the Lakers have.
I want to say Lakers only because Anthony Davis, but also I think it's dependent on who has home court.
True.
Um, as it stands, Lakers would probably have home court, but I don't know if the seating changes based on games today, if that will the Pelicans will have home court. But I'm just gonna say whoever's home court is gonna win that one.
All right. And then Thunder Timberwolves. Even though we're Timberwolves haters, do you think this might be more favorable for the Timberwolves?
I think it would be to their advantage. I said in the past the Timberwolves don't want to be in the play-in because of like teams could just like demolish Timberwolves because
Yeah.
we've seen it in like last year's playoffs. They were kind of too cocky at times, and then they lose a game against the Grizzlies. Like I remember Cat celebrating, and there was like 8 minutes left, and then they lost. So I would hope they learned their lesson, but I think the Thunder really want this more than
Oh
them.
yeah.
I'm just gonna say Thunder, even though like the interior defense of the Timberwolves would be tough to go against. Because when I'm thinking Thunder, I don't know who their center is right now.
Thunder is a weird team because I don't like. You can say the same thing about their power forward, small forward, shooting guard, and point guard. their
Yeah,
entire their entire starting five is a complete mystery. Like you never know what lineup they're gonna run with. So
honestly,
I
yeah, I'm gonna say Thunder because like they're a big question mark. You don't know what you're getting lineup wise, matchup wise, and I don't think
yes,
the Timberwolves adjust in time.
and especially like you can say like players can move on and stuff, but with the Rudy Gobert thing that happened today, like the Timberwolves might be a little shaken up, might be some locker room trouble. I just feel like the Thunder are going to take advantage of that. And they're also Jalen Williams. I feel like their interior with those type of players. I don't think Rudy Gobert is going to be much help on the defensive end when it comes to the Thunder, just because we've seen them do well against teams with better interior defense. So it's gonna
Yeah.
be it's exciting to see that matchup and see if the Thunder can get that huge win or if the Timberwolves can like hold them off.
Like the Thunder are so young and so fast and jump high all like every position it seems like.
Yeah.
It's I don't think Rudy Gobert would be help in that instance, especially if your center or power forwards are shooting threes. Like he's gonna get
Yeah.
exposed.
And their center and power forwards can shoot threes. Like if they catch fire, it might be over for the Timberwolves if they start lighting up the 3-point line. All right. So that leaves Thunder and whoever wins that first game for you, Vaughn, and that leaves Pelicans Thunder for me. Ah, I feel like if the Pelicans, I feel like both Lakers and Pelicans can beat the Thunder personally.
All right. Of every play-in team we've mentioned, which do you think could win a series in the first round?
I was just gonna ask you that question at the end. Um, out of I feel like personally, I feel like no one in the East can win a first round
Yeah.
series just because it's the Bucks and Celtics, and also none of those teams have beaten the Bucks or Celtics in a playoff series.
Hmm.
The Bulls lost before, the Heat lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Hawks lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I don't even think we've seen Toronto against the Bucks or Celtics. But let's be honest, Toronto probably won't beat them. So I feel like it's mostly between the people in the West, and honestly, I feel like it's Lakers or I feel like the Lakers are the only ones who can actually win a series because the Pelicans, without if they don't have Zion, won't be able to beat the Grizzlies or the Nuggets.
I think if Pelicans lose to the Lakers, they beat the Timberwolves or Thunder, then that makes them.
The A
Oh
seed.
no. Okay, so they'd have to beat Lakers. I think they could beat the Grizzlies
Okay,
because potentially Zion could come back middle of playoffs, and if he comes in that series, it just it adds so much more dynamics to their offense. Jaren
true.
Jackson Jr. would have hell containing the beast that is Zion
No,
Williamson. Um,
yeah, that is fair. Plus, they lost Steven Adams for the rest of the season.
yeah, so they won't have a big man who could go weight for weight against Zion. Plus, they have to watch out for Valanciunas as well, who's another big man. I think they'd be stuck with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Santi Aldama at their center and power forward, unless they
I,
play Brandon Clark, but he usually come off the bench too.
I do know that they called up Kenny Lofton,
Oh
but
yeah, they signed him for the remainder of the season, so he's no longer a two-way player. He's actually on their roster.
like, do you think that makes a difference at all? Do you think they're kind of like throwing him to the wolves if he gets minutes?
That honestly, you might just need a big guy to keep Zion out of the paint, so
Yeah.
that could be an advantage. I don't think he'd play heavy minutes or all game. It
Hmm.
would be fun to see that, but I don't think it'd be the probable situation.
Yeah. Honestly, if the Pelicans go against the Nuggets and they have Zion for the full series, that might be a closer game than we think. But if the Pelicans go against the Nuggets and Zion comes like midway through, I feel like all that will do will delay the inevitable inevitable.
Yeah, because if Zion's there, their starting power forward is who? Aaron Gordon, and then off the
Yeah,
bench is Jeff Green. So those are guys Zion would be scoring on left and right,
yeah,
while
and
Jokic has
locking
to.
up.
Yeah, so that would be tougher if Zion's back, but I don't think he'll be there for game one, will he?
I highly doubt it. If he's
Yeah, he's still
missing the
getting
play,
evaluated.
sure. I don't think he'll be there for the first 2 to 3 games.
Yeah, so you would really have to hope the Pelicans can hold off Nuggets until he returns. Like
Yeah.
you have Brandon Ingram, you have Alvarado, Herb Jones. Uh, they could do something. Of course, CJ McCollum, but I think they would have trouble containing Jokic. Like Jokic, if you double him, he's passing the open man. He's getting rebounds. I think the strat would be to get him into foul trouble, which means getting into the paint. Uh, like it'd be a real grit and grind type thing.
Yeah,
So it would be a long road.
for sure. And then the Lakers, um, is the other team I said that could possibly win a first series round. I feel like
Yeah.
the Grizzlies and the Nuggets are both teams they could possibly beat. More so the Grizzlies and the Nuggets. But I feel like either way, if the Lakers just do well in the play-in, get that first game win, I feel like they will be a scary team for the Grizzlies and or Nuggets.
Yeah, if you're Grizzlies Nuggets, you wouldn't want to face Lakers just because of the LeBron AD combo. But also you gotta be confident in your guard play. Like Grizzlies have a Jaw, Dylan Brooks, or Desmond Bain playing shooting guard, and I don't think their Lakers defense for that is strong enough. Like they have what Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder,
Russell,
oh, and D'Angelo Russell, and those guys aren't defensive-minded guards. I
yeah,
mean, just last season we watched D'Lo get cooked by the Grizzlies, so it could be
true.
another situation. Against the Nuggets, you still got Jamal Murray, and
Yes,
he's been on a tear lately. Like he's back to Jamal Murray form, and I think you have to contain Jokic. You can't stop him.
yeah,
That means AD has to take in a lot of responsibility for that, and I don't know. how much juice he's gonna have defending Jokic and what he can do offensively. But
Yeah,
like if we had Eugene here, it'd be an easier thing to analyze.
yeah. Um, yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like they have a better chance against the Grizzlies than they do the Nuggets. Just because I'm very, as a Nuggets fan, I might sound biased, but I'm very confident that they'll move past the first round just because I feel like a lot of these teams don't have, they're missing a piece to compete with just the Nuggets, not both chemistry and like guard and center. Like
Hmm.
our forwards aren't the strongest, but Jokic and Jamal are like really clicking.
Hmm. And I'd even say your rookie Christian Brown. Like I didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
who he was even like through the middle of the season, and I saw him play a full game 2 days ago against the Suns, and he looked like a full-on NBA player. He didn't look like a rookie to me.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because at first we weren't really playing him.
Yeah.
And then like out of nowhere, we just started giving him minutes and he's been performing. So it's kind of crazy what happens when you give your younger guys time to play. It's wild.
Yeah, I think his minutes opened up after Bones Highland was traded, and I,
Yeah.
I I like Bones. I know a lot of Nuggets fans like Bones, but he was more an offensive-minded guard, and Christian Brown can play offense and defense, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. I mean, Nuggets, I've been I'm like the most like pessimistic Nuggets fan, but I'm pretty confident that they can get past the first round against any of these teams in the play-in. So I mean, as they should, they are the first seed. That's like not asking
Yeah.
a lot. All
Okay, I will
right.
say this just real quick. Avalanche, they won last year, right?
Yes.
They were the 1 seed.
Oof, I think so. I don't remember.
Okay. So we got Nuggets 1 seed. Lightning might strike twice in Colorado.
True, true. I mean, it will be a big time for Denver fans. All right. That's probably what we're gonna call it. If you are listening on Spotify, any podcast platform, make sure you give us that 5 stars, review us, even if you hate us, just leave a rate and a review. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. We are on all social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. So make sure you catch us on all those platforms I just said so you can keep up with us during the postseason. All the links will be in the description. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again next week.
Diamonds wavy, Percy Jackson drowning in the water. Out of town, I'm making plays, I'm coaching like I'm Carter. Vision clear like 2020, I'ma take it farther.